Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Trend Report podcast. I'm glad you're here for what I know is going to be another great conversation as we talk to people in our industry about some of the things that they're doing and making and how they're making an impact. And so today I'd like to welcome Abby Murray with Mortarr to the show. How are you, Abby?
Hey, I'm great. How are you, Sid?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm really glad you're here today. And so let's just jump right in because I want the people listening today to know who you are and what you guys do. So tell us a little bit about Abby and then a little bit about Mortarr.
Okay, well, a little bit about Abby. I am a mom of three, and I just got a new dog in just over Christmas. So that's a little scary of a transition, but surviving and working from home right now, and the kids are hybrid. And so it's been a big adjustment as everyone, listening, I'm sure is experiencing the same, but
Yeah, absolutely.
all good. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great. So tell us a little bit about your company and what it is you guys do. And then let's get into the story of how you started. So what is Mortarr?
Oh my goodness. Okay, Mortarr is a website and app we designed exclusively for the commercial construction and design industry. So end users that come out would be architects, designers, engineers, business executives, facility directors that come out and consume the content that these companies across that same grouping showcase on our site. So they showcase imagery and project galleries of their finished work within the built environment. And this allows these end users, these searchers, to come out and see products in installed environments, the ability to vet these professionals based on the work that they've done and who they've worked with within the industry. And it's all done digitally through one platform.
Okay, so it's a website with
That-
installed product images, not static white background. These are
Correct.
real installation images.
That's correct. And this was all designed based on our experience in the commercial design industry, where we'd come across products oftentimes, whether they be in sampling books or product catalogs, or even the websites of these manufacturers. And it was really hard to imagine how those products would be displayed within a space
Mhm.
without doing the work of renderings and such. So we felt like this would be a much easier way to source and to specify, even sample. I can share a little bit more of the nitty gritty
Sure.
later on, but yeah, a lot of the pains we felt within the industry, even finding professionals,
Mhm.
finding commercial grade products, and finding the ideas and inspiration for those spaces to show our clients so they could begin to visualize how a space would come together without too much work ahead of time for us as designers was really where the idea for Mortarr began.
Okay, so let's talk about the idea for a minute because we're going to dive into more of the functionality of what the site
Sure.
does and
Yep.
where you're headed. But so how did the idea come about? And, from the idea concept to when you launched, let's talk about that journey just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So we actually started as a branding agency in 2013, and we were offering a very holistic approach to a brand. So we were helping with websites and your digital presence through social media, obviously logos that go into branding, messaging, email marketing, but also the physical space, ensuring that your clients would have the same experience online that they would in your store or in your
Mhm.
workplace. It was really in those experiences that we saw an opportunity to digitize the way that was happening. And we had, with our agency background and this commercial design piece, we had both sides to the equations. We saw a need, obviously, for the commercial industry to digitize the way that products were sourced and sampled, and ideas were found and pros were vetted. But we also saw an opportunity on the marketing side for the way in which those companies were marketing to their decision making or their target audience. And a lot of that was shifting to a digital environment. And this was this was still pre-COVID.
Sure, sure.
A lot of that, we saw a lot of that shifting,
Mhm.
especially in the residential world, on the residential side, that had completely shifted. And so we looked at Mortar as an opportunity to help move the commercial side along as well.
Sure. Okay. So you started in 2017 with Mortar as a concept.
Correct.
So
Mhm.
coming out of 2013 on the digital or your branding agency,
Yep.
and then you didn't actually do a beta launch of it until May of 2018. So I mean
Yeah.
that's like almost 12 months of working behind the scenes to build it. What was it like building a technology platform?
Crazy. We had experience in the digital marketing world, so that was a huge asset to us. Our creative team on the agency side was a huge asset to us in building our brand and making sure we were set up correctly to be found. But building an actual, um, you know, enterprise level software platform
Mhm.
is next level. I mean, it was crazy, and we outsourced all of our development, overseas,
Mhm.
and that was a huge learning curve for us as well. In fact, we are on our 3rd developer, and they're amazing now, but it took us a while to find the right mix and to find the level that we needed in order to build a platform that was to service the entire industry and become not just national, but international.
Sure.
And yeah, the complexity there was a big learning curve and still is
I
for us.
bet, I
But
bet it was. Especially when you look at all the functionality that goes into the product, right? And how it all works. So we're going to drop the link to the website in the show notes so you guys listening can actually go check it out because it's a really, really cool website. And we'll talk more about it in a few minutes. But then you didn't actually launch until January of 2019. That's when you
yes,
went like fully live with everything.
yep. So we were in building mode for a while, even before 17. We were looking and vetting the feasibility within the industry. Come 18, beta launch with a group of early adopters, probably around 25 early adopters in that year, just testing the platform and figuring out how it should work, what was wrong, what was good about it. And then we did a more formal launch in 19 in tandem with the app that we launched, for a better user experience on mobile.
Mhm.
And yeah, we really hit the ground running in January or Q1 of 19.
Okay, that's awesome. And so you do have a mobile app that
Yes.
basically does exactly the same thing as you see on the website.
Yes. In
Okay,
fact, I often prefer the app because it's just so slick
sure.
to
Well,
move through. But
I mean, most of us spend the majority of our time on our phones anyway.
mhm,
In some whether it's a phone or a pad, some kind of iPad or device like that.
mhm.
We're typically on that equally as much, if not more, than we're actually on our computer screen. So it's great that you actually did both of them because I think in the world of reaching people, a lot of people forget about the power of an app and they only do the website. And as you talked a minute ago about user experience, the user experience on a desktop computer is not the same when you're viewing that same website on a phone or a pad. It's just not the same.
No, right. And what's interesting is our target market is we're a B2B platform. And so the majority of our traffic still comes from desktop.
Okay.
And you think about the way in which this community of users works, even the showcasers on our platform, the companies that are creating their profiles and showcasing their portfolios digitally, they're working in an office setting, whether it be at home right now
Mhm.
or within the office itself. And oftentimes those are desktop experiences. So we've really had to focus in on the desktop experience because our target audience is so business oriented.
Mhm.
And we determined over that course of 18 that the primary audience was definitely using the desktop,
Well,
more than
what I think about what is important about what you just said is the power of knowing who your customer is.
Mhm.
In a lot of cases, we call that your ICA, your ideal customer avatar. There are other acronyms for it too, but I mean, you really need to know who your customer is, especially in the digital world, so that you can target to them and provide an experience that you know that they want. And what you just identified is your ICA is a predominantly a desktop user. So you built out the desktop platform, but then went and also did and augmented it with the app platform, which I think is also great, right?
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's tough because we have an array of different users. We have our end user that's searching the site for, a pro team, or just looking and vetting the work available through their network or a new network. We have searchers out there that are student based. We have a Mortarr Classroom initiative to implement this platform and digitalize the way that students work even before they hit the working world. And those students are primarily on mobile. And so they're using the app. Our searchers are primarily on desktop. Our
Mhm.
showcasers are primarily on desktop. So you really, and those coming in from our digital campaigns are primarily on mobile. So
Mm.
you really have to figure out who your audience is and cater to them
Yep.
where they are. And that gets really tricky. And which is why we have a full digital marketing team that helps us do that. But it
Mhm.
takes time, that's for sure.
Well, meet them where they are is
Huh?
so important, to go where your customer is hanging out,
Mhm.
and talk to them where they are and about things that are important to them. So you've mentioned a couple of times the sponsors that are on the site, and then the searchers. So let's talk for a minute about who these people are. So the website's got imagery of products that are installed in real environment, and it's not just furniture, it's
Right.
flooring. I mean, it's anything inside the built environment, basically,
Mhm.
right?
Correct.
Okay.
Flooring, lighting, wall finishings, surfaces. Yes. Yep. Doors, windows,
Mhm.
anything that you would use. Sometimes we even have the subflooring pieces, that anything within a space, that a commercial space that you need to complete and finish your
Okay.
vision. Yep.
So those people that are putting there are the manufacturers or the distributors, if you will, of those types of brands.
Correct.
So it could be, I noticed I was out on the site earlier today. So I noticed that like Hayworth is on your site.
Mhm.
So Hayworth's got some of its products out there in the install shots and things like that. So it's those types of companies that are positioning on your site. I also noticed, if I read this correctly, there were actually a couple of independent rep groups that had products on your site as well. Did I see that correctly?
Yes, yes. So we have there's a pros section and a brand section on our site. The
Okay.
pros are those servicing firms that provide architectural services, or dealers, um, design services. They feature projects on our site.
Okay.
And all of the projects that they feature can be tagged with either the pro team that helped assist in finishing the project, or the products actually used within the spaces that they designed.
Okay.
So Hayworth, for example, could be tagged in an architectural firm's project galleries on our site. They click on that tag, they want to learn more about Hayworth. They can click on Hayworth, get to their brand profile, and then Hayworth also populates installation photos of their products, maybe by product line, maybe by project. But that's a way for these showrooms to become more digital,
Sure.
and also interactive with some of their pro teams that install these products within their spaces.
Okay. So I think that's great. I want to break this down really simply for people
Yep.
like me that have a hard time processing all of this, right? I can only imagine what the mind map must have looked like when
Yeah.
you guys were building this out, right? But
Mhm.
so I'm an architectural or interior design firm, and
Okay.
I do a project with a local bank in my marketplace. It turns
Mhm.
out great. I have it photographed. I sign up to be a pro member at Mortarr, and I'm
Mhm.
able to upload my installation images there, which is building my brand as a design firm, showing people that are looking for design firms the type of work that I do. Then I can tag the entire project team that was part of that, from the general contractor to the bill or to the general contractor, to the furniture supplier, the carpet supplier. I can tag those companies, but I can also tag the brands
Mhm.
that I used so that searchers could actually click on it and say, oh, well, this got, these 5 furniture suppliers, these 3 flooring suppliers, these 6 lighting suppliers were all part of this project. And then these were the companies that helped to make that a reality.
Bingo. Yep, yep. And even on the tags within the photo itself, where you're tagging the products used, you can access all of the technical information needed to sample, to source, to specify. We have a partnership with Material Bank. We have a partnership with BIM Object. They can grab specifications all from a single click on an installation photo.
Wow.
So
That's
there's
really
quite a bit of
cool.
power in one single photo view.
Yeah,
And
that's
yes,
really cool. It's not anything that I've seen anywhere else because there's basically this little white dot on the image, and you click on that white dot and it gives you the option to request a sample, which I assume is your partnership with Material Bank.
mhm,
The other one is to download the technical sheet. So you can download a technical worksheet, but also right there, you have a way to reach out to the person that made the furniture or to the company and
correct.
ask them a
Yep,
question all in one. I mean, that's really cool. You can do it all in one
that's
photo.
correct. And you say white dot, but there are also now green dots.
Oh, I haven't seen the green
So
dots. What's the green
yeah.
dot?
So we launched sustainability filters
Oh,
a couple quarters ago.
okay.
And so now those green products, the tag on those
Mhm.
actually turns green if the company indicates they have a declare label or any type of green certification on those
Wow,
products. Yeah,
that's
yeah. So
great.
it's been amazing to see that content grow on our platform quickly, and just puts green products
Mhm.
and sustainable companies at the forefront and more visible than those who are not there yet. So
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's a really, really important conversation about sustainability. And I haven't seen a green dot yet, but I have seen the green bar that said green guard on it. So I haven't
mhm.
seen the green dot. I'll go back and see if I can't find a couple of green dots. But on episode 41 of the podcast, I had a startup, Brandy Suzowitz from Clear Office on. And one of the things that she talked about was how much waste goes into a landfill
Mhm.
from the built environment. And so basically, the built environment waste material, meaning building it out, and furniture account for 50% of landfill mass. It is shocking when you think about it. And it underscored to me the significance of why sustainability is so important and why we need to pay attention to how the product can be used currently, but also be reused or be recycled so that we don't continue to contribute to that waste, if you will.
Well, and think about that. Think about, as an industry, that impact we're making negatively, and the quick impact we could make so
Yep.
positively because of that. And that's exactly, we partnered with ILFI, we partnered with Well, and a few others to really learn and embed that sustainability message into our platform, providing filters for users so they can really easily find green guard products or well certified projects or lead certified architects.
That's great.
Bringing it to the forefront. So if those companies are more visible, that creates a greater demand for more of those sustainable products,
Mhm.
pros, and projects. And that's a role that Mortar can play, a small role that Mortar can play in making an impact there.
Well, what you just said, all of us should be paying attention to. We
Mhm.
can all, every one of us, play a small role in helping to create a more sustainable environment. Whether we manufacture, distribute, whatever it is that we do, we can all play a greater role in that, right? So I feel like I'm getting on my soapbox, so we
I
won't
know, I know.
we won't go there. But so we know who the pro is, and the users, people searching, can be anybody. It could be an admin at a company looking for new furniture. It could be, I mean, it doesn't matter. If they find your site, they can get a free profile and they can start searching and they can build out their own and they can save stuff. and go back and contact people later. So it's
That's,
basically available to anybody for
that's
free.
right.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and one thing that we really wanted to make sure was that this platform was designed for inclusivity, not exclusivity.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the platforms out there that provide maybe specifications or CE courses or installation photos. There's a lot of sites out there that do a
Mhm.
little bit of everything that Mortarr brings together, but they're serving a lot of times you're seeing them serving the top 200 companies, and it still makes it difficult for smaller firms, which
Mhm.
80% of the industry is made up of, to
Mhm.
access the information that they need in order to create their space and use the products that they want. And so we really wanted to make an environment, a design environment that was inclusive
That's
and
great.
allowed for, students.
Mhm.
Students need the
Yeah.
exposure and accessibility to the same information that working professionals do. Small firms, 20 or fewer employees, they don't always have the resources that the top 200 do. So let's find a way to bring them in and allow them the same opportunities. Um, and so, yeah, we've definitely taken an inclusive approach. Even our company subscriptions, we offer a basic profile, maybe for those smaller firms who just want to get their name out there and showcase their work and be visible for maybe a particular region. Dealers are a great one for this,
Sure.
but they still have the opportunity. Of course, it's limited, and our revenue comes from those paying subscriptions, but it still offers them the visibility and a little bit of a digital footprint on the platform to allow
Sure.
for that visibility. Mhm.
I love that approach because inclusivity, because just because you're a small firm with 3 or 4 people
Mhm.
doesn't correlate that you don't do
Mhm.
amazing, awesome work, right?
Mhm.
Small firms do just as good of work as 200 people firms do. And
Mhm.
that's something that I think sometimes we just are conditioned, even subconsciously, I believe that the bigger is better. And that's not always the case, right? And so giving
Absolutely.
those people a place to share their work and make it easier for them to be found. I mean, kudos to supporting the 99%, because 99% of all US businesses are small businesses.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
think about that statistic. If you're listening, think about that statistic for a minute. 99% of all businesses are small businesses. And you're
Mhm.
giving that community a really a powerful voice. So thank you
Mhm.
for helping us little guys, right?
Yep, yep. It's a
Okay,
win, definitely a win-win. That
that's
is that
great.
is for sure. Yep.
So let's talk about, so our topic today really is because you've been doing a lot of studying about this and paying attention, and your migration from a branding agency to where you are now, I think gives you a lot of really good insight to this. And we know that the consumer's behavior is changing. I mean,
Mhm.
COVID amplified the consumer's behavior change, right? Because I
Mhm.
mean, immediately March the 16th, we all went online for everything. And
Mhm.
even now, some people are still in lockdown. Some people still aren't. I mean, people still aren't back to work. So we're still being, our behavior is still continuing to change and evolve. So, from your perspective, Abby, let's talk about how consumer habits are actually changing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even pre-COVID, as you know, we launched in 17, or yeah, launched our company in 17, launched our platform in 18. You were already beginning to see uh, uh, the consumerization of the B2B
Hmm.
um, marketplace and the digital environment that new decision makers were wanting and craving in order to have more accessibility to all of the things that we've just talked about: products, pros, ideas,
Hmm.
samples, and we with COVID, I mean, it's hard to even talk about because we are so fortunate in the fact that we were a digital platform, but COVID has really just accelerated the adoption of digital and the necessity for these companies to cater to. I'll go back to kind of our mantra, but meeting those consumers and those users and those decision makers where they are. And today that is online. And so companies must adapt to that change in behavior. And even last year, we were, well, 19, I guess we're already 21. I should be celebrating that. But even in 2019, the primary audience was still visiting trade shows. Print publications were the method to marketing to that audience. And that shift has been accelerated by arguably 5, maybe even 10 years
Mhm.
to a more digital process. And companies, what was interesting, I'll just share a little tidbit. So in Q1 and Q2 of Q1 was kind of normal, right? Q2 and Q3, Q2 primarily of last year, we saw budgets freeze. People were kind of like, whoa, what's going on?
Yep.
What do we do now? That included our searcher audience that was coming out and consuming the content. It included our subscribers and our growth in companies showcasing. In Q3 and 4, it was really fascinating, and it goes to what you're asking right now. Q3 and Q4, we saw budgets unfreeze. We saw the entire world realize, okay, we've got to get back to something, even though it can't be what it was before. We saw in our industry, in our platform specifically, we saw companies lifting their marketing budgets. And while some of the smaller companies churned, because they were conserving cash due to the turbulence of COVID-19, larger companies opened up their budgets and did a complete flip in the way that they were spending their marketing dollars.
Mhm.
2019, marketing budgets were spent like this: 20% digital, 80% in person, trade shows, events, sponsorships, print pubs. Q3 2020, it did a complete flip. We
Mm.
had to launch 2 additional tiers, 2 higher tiers for companies because there was such a great demand for
Wow.
more spend on the digital front.
Mm.
And we actually sold more larger subscriptions in Q3 and Q4 for these larger companies because of that flip to digital. And so I just don't see that changing. I
Wow.
think that's going to continue. They're going to get used to seeing ROI reporting and analytic reporting to really
Mm.
understand how their dollars are being used. And I don't see that changing in the future.
Well, there's so much here to unpack, but let's be clear. What you said was if you don't have a strategy or you are not embracing it, you have got to get into the game of digital marketing and meet your customer, whoever you are, whatever product or service that you do. You got to meet your customer where they are. And friends, they're online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Period. They are online. You got to meet them there. And then we've got this budget shift from pre-COVID, 80% in-person print, all that kind of stuff to 20% digital to now it's 80% digital and 20% everything else, which further underscores the power of digital marketing. And if you're not in it, you got to get in it and you got to be able to share your voice or messaging your product with your consumer. And digital marketing is a lot more than, oh, let me post a picture of my product and say, here's my $99 chair. Okay. And we're not going to go down the rabbit hole. You guys, if you've been listening for a while, you hear me talk about this a lot. It is not that.
Mhm.
Okay. But it is a lot more than that. And so, but you got to get in the game and you got to
Mhm.
be part of it if you want to attract customers. So, okay, that's
Yeah,
great.
and attract a new audience.
Mhm.
If you're on social media and you post regularly and you have a website, that is not your digital marketing strategy.
All right. Please say that
That is,
again. Hang on, say that again.
if you are on social media as a company and you're posting regularly and you have a website and you're out there updating it regularly, that is not a digital marketing strategy. Majority of your audience on those channels already know who you are.
Mhm.
How are you as a company going to get in front of a new audience? Think of the digital trade show traffic, right? You go to trade shows because you want to get in front of a new audience of decision makers.
Mhm.
If you have those and you're checking it off as a digital marketing strategy, you're getting in front of the same audience who already knows who you are. How do you grow your pipeline digitally and get in front of new audiences? That's another rabbit hole I
Yep.
won't go down, but
I'm
if
literally
you
about to
think about
jump out of my seat right now because you are just singing the song of what people need to be doing, because it's so much more than what we think that it is. And I think I'm going to sum it up so we can move on. But what you're saying is you've got to, rather than seeking to find customers,
Mhm,
you've got to put a platform in place where they find you. You've got to be
absolutely.
found by them. And you do that through a variety of different things, including thought leadership,
Mhm,
blogs, articles, advertising. It's so
mhm.
much more that goes into it than just a website and posting on social media.
Yep.
So,
80% of the decision-making process is over before anyone talks to a sales representative from your company.
mhm,
And the majority of that is done through digital exploration.
mhm.
So if you are not there when those decision makers are shopping and vetting, you are not going to be considered when they are ready to make a decision.
Yeah, that
And
is gold. That is just
mhm,
gold right there. 80% of the decision, listen to that again. Doesn't matter what you sell, 80% of the decision is made before they ever pick up the phone and talk to a sales rep. So that's really powerful. It goes to underscore something you said earlier, which was ensure that your customers have the same experience with you in person and online. That user experience has to be the same regardless of where you're hanging out. So I don't want us to stay here, Abby, because I think we could probably talk for another hour about this,
I think
because
so.
I'm super passionate about it, because our industry is not embracing it the way that we need to embrace it,
Mhm,
which is
mhm.
why I talk about it so much. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me talk about digital marketing, because I've talked about it and I write about it a lot in my column, but our industry is not embracing it the way they need to, which is why I keep bringing it up. So let's go to point number two, which you said in our prep call of how the consumer is changing habits is a shift in accessibility.
Mhm,
Let's talk
mhm.
about that for a minute.
Yeah, you think about a lot of the new decision makers and this new generation of decision makers that are coming in and taking over from millennials, taking over the generation of decision makers in seats still today. They are they are used to digital. They were brought up with a heightened understanding of technology, and we
Mhm.
all know that. But if you think about now the way that they're learning, and I talked about our Mortarr in the Classroom initiative, which is fascinating. The way that they're learning and the way that they operate, they expect everything here and now, when they want it, where they want it, now.
Mhm.
And it goes back to that whole digital exploration. When they're vetting professionals, when pro teams, when they're looking at products to use, if you are not visible to them in their digital exploration, which is the primary way that these decision makers are, or this next generation of decision makers are working, you're going to miss a huge opportunity. I will say our Mortarr in the Classroom initiative, when we're visiting these campuses across the country, and right now we have over 75 different architect and design universities participating in Mortarr, using Mortarr for their work.
Wow.
I will say they are the easiest to explain the platform to, because they look at it and they're like, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm so used to demoing and showing how and where. I'm like, yeah, 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 we got it, we got it. Why isn't this here? I'm like, ooh, that's a really good idea. We'll put that there. Why can't I do this? That's a good idea. We'll put that there. But they are such a different generation than, and we need to make sure that we're catering to them where they are. And it kind of, this whole conversation blends together so
Yeah,
much,
absolutely.
because we're seeing that shift in decision makers now. We're seeing that
Mhm.
shift in the way that that the B2B environment needs to adapt to consumerization, and that
Yeah.
consumerization is being pushed in by these millennials, and it's a new way to work, and it's here to stay.
So I
So
think what's important about this is we have to remember that the customer of today, the decision maker of today is not the decision maker of tomorrow.
mhm,
And
mhm,
doing what you're doing and taking your resources and this information to colleges and universities is powerful, but it's also educational and informative. You are introducing these interior design students and these architectural students to brands and information and products they'd never seen before, because there's only a very select group of brands that even target the colleges and universities. And now you're introducing them to our world, right? You're introducing them to products and companies and that's great because they are the decision makers for tomorrow. And we need to remember that as we're all working to grow our business, that today's decision maker is not tomorrow's decision maker.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to point 3, which we hit on this a little bit earlier when I got on my soapbox, which is sustainability.
Oh, yes. I know. So many of these conversations just blend together.
They
So
do.
repetition, I apologize, but sustainability, I mean, this is another thing that was elevated and heightened over the course of the last 5 years, but with COVID has accelerated us 5 to 10 years faster because of all of the things we have to consider with clean air and wellness in the workplace and antimicrobial surfaces and all of those things that lead to a more sustainable workplace. And we want to make sure, and I said this earlier, but we really looked a couple years ago. We were a part of a sustainable design summit of sorts, and we wanted to make sure that walking away from that, we knew we had a place and we had a role in changing the way that that consumers took in content and found sustainable projects. We just weren't sure how that fit into Mortarr, but with the sustainability releases that we did this past quarter or two, it really puts those sustainable companies at the forefront, provides visibility to those companies who are putting out and being dedicated to achieving such certifications, whether it be for their products, whether it be the project level, whether it be pros themselves getting those certifications. But we need to make sure that we are putting those achievements at the forefront so they are more findable. Those companies become more visible, and it drives demand for other companies who aren't doing it yet.
Yeah, that's right.
Because, we all know what is happening here. You talked about it with the landfills, and we have such a responsibility, and all of us can make such an impact to the movement and shift in our carbon footprint. So whatever we can do as individuals and pros within the industry, really think about, because even us as a digital platform, there are things we can do to help support that. And everyone plays a role in that for sure.
So it's the best form of peer pressure is what you're creating, right? It is.
Yes.
And I say the best form of peer pressure because you're pressuring people to do good. Most peer pressure is pressuring people to do bad. This is pressuring people to do good by way of our environment and our world and the products that we manufacture and that we distribute. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to recap the 3 real quickly. Digital marketing, get in the game, the shift in accessibility, meet them where they are, be found, and then focus on sustainability is really how the consumer is changing their habits this year and in the future. And I think you said it a minute ago, COVID accelerated this by at least 5 years in digital and going digital and spending and all those kinds of things are the same way. So as we start to wrap up, Abby, let's talk real quickly. You just formed a new partnership with InDeal, which is a independent dealer network. So tell us about that and what it is that you're doing for the dealer community.
Oh, yes. Yeah, InDeal was such a great fit for our company as we looked to expand into the dealer category. But InDeal provides these amazing blended renderings, high quality blended renderings, and they were really looking. They had a tight audience of dealers and brands, about 350 dealers and brands in their network. And they came to us at the end of last year. We began talking about a profile for them. And as we were talking with the Daves, we'll call them the founders, we were like, we all came to the conclusion that we needed to partner up because it only made sense.
Mm-hmm.
But they came to us with this idea that these blended renderings and their mission needed, and their message needed to get out to a broader audience, to the entire A&D community. Instead of putting up, instead of being exclusive, I'll just put it that way, they wanted to be more inclusive. They
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be more accessible. And they wanted to make their tools and resources available to the broader audience.
Sure.
And so they came to us, and they have these amazing, realistic blended renderings that they provide in their digital flipbooks, and allow for companies to be able to visualize how different brands and products are used within a space, a
Mm-hmm.
workplace, for example. And so what Mortarr can do for them is create those project galleries on our site, and then create those product tags on the blended renderings so they become interactive and measurable. So now if they have a workplace with all these different brands and products tagged, that user that finds that photo can access all of the information from those
Wow.
tags, specifications, BIM files, sample requests, all of those things. But also all of that engagement is then reported to the brands that are featured. So the
Wow.
brands will be able to see where they're driving engagement and on what content, which is really just adds to the power of the digital flip books that InGil was already
That's awesome.
creating. Yeah,
So it
yeah.
sounds like it was a really well developed strategic partnership that started out one way and then grew into
Uh-huh.
something else, which those are always the best kind. Start one way and end up something else.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
offering our community yet another ability to reach their customer in a digital format. So
Yeah.
that's great, Abby. I mean, it's been a pleasure to get to learn a little bit more about what you guys are doing and to meet you as well. And I'm excited about this. I mean, I've loved hanging out on the website. I've got the app, though I don't really have anything to do with products anymore. I think it's pretty cool, and I love telling people about it. So, Abby, if people that are listening today would like to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to reach you and to learn more about Mortarr?
Oh, yes. Please email me anytime. We'll leave my personal email here within the podcast. Check out my LinkedIn profile, message me there. I'm pretty active both places. Don't call me on my cell phone because I don't answer my cell phone and I don't listen to voicemails.
Well, we're going. That's great. So we'll put the your email address and the link to your LinkedIn profile in the
Great.
show notes. Guys, you know the rules about LinkedIn that I talk about all the time in the podcast. If you do reach out via LinkedIn, be sure you tell Abby or anybody else at Mortarr how you heard about them, that you listened to her on the Trend Report podcast so that she knows why you want to connect. Just don't send a blind connection request to her. Abby, again, it's been a pleasure. I'm glad that you're here. I look forward to watching all the great things you and your team do in 2021. And hopefully we get to have you back on the podcast again sometime soon.
Yes. Thank you so much. The pleasure was definitely all mine.
All right. Take care.
Take care.